Good morning, Turfs Up Radio. Wayne Bowles, Profits Unlimited, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky. Yes, indeedy. Oh, my goodness. Got a great day going on. Got a great show planned. Hopefully, you guys are rocking and rolling on this Monday, August 4th. Can you believe it? There we go. Before long, we're going to be saying, oh, man, it's the middle of August, and then it's going to be the end of August. It's going to be Labor Day, and then it's going to be fall, and then it's going to be snowing. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. Well, that's out there on a little bit of a tangent, maybe, but well, I mean, the order of all that's right, but it's we're not thinking about snow quite yet, but we will be having a snow day coming up here at WLS pretty soon, where we get the equipment out for the first time and make sure everything's rocking and rolling and ready to go. And then any adjustments that we need to make. It's funny how you put that stuff up fine, and then you got to come back and something's not functioning the way it should. But hey, we're not going to turn this into a snow show. It's a little early for that. But hey, it's always good to talk about. Always good to talk about one of my most favorite things, my absolute favorite thing to do. I will say that. And I just love the snow side of this business, and really enjoy doing our snow talks and things like that as well. So, but hey, here we are though. Let's get back to reality, right? And we're going to talk about a lot of things here this morning that I think are going to be fun with you guys. But before we get rocking and rolling and talk about all the craziness that we're going to talk about today, just curious if everybody had a good weekend, if you had a little time to do what you like, and hopefully you did. Shoot me a text and let me know about your weekend. Good morning, Doug. Good to hear from you, buddy. Absolutely nice to hear from you. My friend, hadn't heard from you for a minute. So hope everything's going well up there in the great state of Pennsylvania. And did a neat presentation once up in several in Pennsylvania, but in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and that was pretty interesting. But yeah, before we get into all that craziness, let's talk about your weekends a little bit and what you did fun. Let's see, Mike, appreciate you hanging in there with us today, buddy. Mike said he built a tree house with his kids over the weekend. Yay! Absolutely. Send us a picture of that when you get back home, man. I never had a tree house growing up. I didn't, we didn't. My dad wasn't into that kind of thing. He wasn't home a whole lot with us. He was in a sales position for many years, so he spent a lot of time on the road, and never did have a tree house. Matter of fact, I don't even recall having a friend that had a tree house. So, but oh man, Mike, look at this, dude. Good Lord. So yeah, Mike's got a big tree house going here. So yeah, appreciate you sending all that. So appreciate all you guys. Let me know what you're doing. Looks like Mike had some good help. Good help this weekend putting things together, and A1 job. Those boys will certainly appreciate that. It looks like Mike's son's sitting there taking a little break after they've been doing a lot of hard work. Little buddy's carrying a heavy, looks like what, a two by four, big 2x4. So yeah, nothing like helping your dad and getting involved in the process. So absolutely, thanks, Mike, for those pictures that fast, man. So glad to see you all had a great weekend with that. And oh Lord, I hear you. Doug's off to a crazy start this morning. Crazy Monday. He said they worked hard this weekend, and love to get back to Pennsylvania, Doug. Love to get back up there, and got a couple different dealers up there that we went to, and or several actually. They touch base on that, but I hear you, Seth. We'll get to that Doug said they've already had a creative morning up there in Pennsylvania. Said they fired one and thinking about a second one. So there you go. Pretty crazy morning. It's not a way you want to start a Monday or a Tuesday or any day, but it is what it is. So um, yeah, I guess that's where it's at, and that's where they're at with it now. So um, I hope it all gets better as you move forward, Doug, in the day. Let me put it that way, my friend. And I sincerely mean that for you. Corey said they had a outstanding bake sale and sold out of everything. So that's a nice problem to have, Corey. So Daniel's hopping on here with me, and we're going to talk about some crossover things, some normal profits, unlimited stuff, and then I've actually got a couple questions I'm going to talk to him about, about nutrition and different exercise and things like that. So, but yeah, I appreciate that, Corey. No, and glad you did good. So, Seth, lots of deer season stuff this weekend. Yay! I also had a meeting about their Colorado elk hunt. So, man, that's pretty cool. I'm sure you're looking forward to that elk hunt, and I've never done anything like that in my life. So, um, and I mean, quite honestly, that's not up my, uh, what do you call that? It's not up my, hunting's not, God, I can't even think of the word. It's not hard. I just don't hunt. I mean, I'm not opposed to people that hunt. Eat things that people hunt and kill and clean and cook, and I'll cook them and whatnot. But I don't know. I just because I grew up where I grew up, we just hunting wasn't a big thing of what we did. I mean, I went a couple times with my brother John. He took me. We'd go quail hunting. I think it was sometimes a little bit of rabbit hunting, and but I mean, it wasn't anything regular. So, but for you guys that like it, man, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad it's cool time away for you, and you whether it's deer season you like or whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just the point that you're getting out there, you're doing a few things that you like to do, and having fun with it. So, um, I do like watching. It's called yesterday or last evening I was watching something called Northern Wardens or whatnot, and they were actually game wardens up in Michigan. But it's cool. I like that show. They're all over the country. Sometimes they're in Texas and New Hampshire, Vermont. Last night was Michigan, and it's cool to see how those guys are pretty cool to most hunters and fishermen, realistically, and unless they just want to get stupid. But anyways, but Seth, yeah, it sounds like you had a good weekend, and I did. Seth, have a good weekend. I appreciate that. Didn't do a whole lot, quite honestly. Friday night we just hung out around the house and on the deck and listened to a little music out there and watched a new show on Netflix that somebody told us about. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see it or not, but somebody, Tabitha's friend was telling her about it. It's called Hunting Wives, and it's on Netflix, and it's different. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it yet, or ladies listening to us, but just check it out. It may be in your wheelhouse, it may not, but it was pretty interesting. We watched about a show and a half of it Friday night because we didn't start it till late, but yeah, it was enough to make you want to continue on watching it. So. Yeah, it's called Hunting Wives. I'm almost positive that's it, but I think you might like it. It's but more importantly than that, I'll tell you what I'm really looking forward to is Tulsa King and Landman coming back at some point. You're like, and I can hear you guys thinking, what the hell's this got to do with profit time, Wayne? It's about free time. What you like to do in your free time? What do you do to recharge yourself? And Daniel and I we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But yeah, Seth, that Northwoods Law, man, it is a great show. I love it. I love it. I like it and watch it quite a bit. So let's see. Doug says they hired a sales girl. Nice. Last name, and her name is Sarah Webb, Lawn and Landscape Magazine. Daggone, yeah, it was Sarah's name. So let's see. Doug said he also got his deer tags for the season. Woohoo! How many can you get, Doug? I'm just curious. Because I think, can't you get one by bow and then you can get one with a gun? And in Kentucky, I think you can get a muzzle loader. But I'm just curious in Pennsylvania if it's the same or around. Or Seth, I know you can help me out with Kentucky's law, but be curious, Doug, to know how it works up there in your area for you in Pennsylvania. Or if you get so many tags and you use them how you want to use them. But I was watching a fishing thing last night, Daniel, and they were one of those fishing shows in that game warden thing, and I didn't realize they did this, but they were in Michigan, and some of the rivers and tributaries, if they're having like spawning issues or whatnot, they'll shut that river off to fishing or a tributary to it. And I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, I never
makes sense.
Yeah, it made 100% sense, in watching it. But I thought you'd have to really be keeping up with what's going on to know, hey, I can't fish from here to here in this river, or whatever it is. But they knew it, and even the guys they caught fishing said they knew they weren't supposed to be fishing there. So let's see. Kentucky is $1 and only a 2 to 4 doe, depending on which zone. So, all right. Well, keeps the population rocking and rolling. Doug said Pennsylvania is $1, bow or rifle, 3 doe. I guess there must be more female deer than male deer. Because it seems like both states you can take more does. So, but yeah, well, good. I wish you guys the best of luck when deer season rolls around. And if anybody wants to get rid of a little extra deer salami, and that what that? Yeah, that deer's
one thing. Yeah, you
that's one thing. Yeah, man, I do like that stuff, and it is pretty lean, really. I don't know, is salami? You think a salami is not being good for you, but I don't know if it's lean meat. It probably would be all right coming from a deer. Maybe. What do you think? I know you're not a nutritionist.
I mean, as far as I don't know what's all in it, though.
Yeah, I don't know what they add to it, but I do think they add cheese to it to kind of help it, because there's not much fat. So I don't know. We'd have to get Doug or Seth or somebody that does. Timmy Hamilton could probably tell us for sure. I know they do a lot of that, but yeah, everybody's weekend sounds like it was off to a good one, and sounds like Monday's off to a good one. Even though you had to get rid of somebody, Doug, I hate to hear that, man, but it's part of it. It's part of it. None of us like it, but it's part of it. So, like I said, I chilled out pretty much most of the weekend. Friday, like I said, stayed home, stayed on the deck, and listened to a little bit of music. And it actually got cool Friday night here once the sun went down and all. So, but enjoyed that. And then Saturday morning, got up, went to a craft fair with Katie. And speaking of which, give a shout out to Katie. She's off today. She's out sick. So not she's a little bit under the weather, but she said she'll be doing well. Seth, I hear you, buddy. Oh my God. He says fat is added with the salami. So
anyway. Pork fat or beef fat can be added.
That's what he said, pork or beef. Yeah.
Often 20 to 30%.
So anyway, I guess this is Profits Unlimited Hunting Show edition for a few minutes this morning. Hey, that's okay. We want to do something for everybody. This is certainly the epitome of not being self-centered around Wayne Bowles, because I don't know anything at all about this stuff other than I'm glad you guys do it. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. And I'm glad you guys get the free time to do what you like to do and make sure that you're doing it. So whether it's hunting, fishing, building, tree houses with your kids or whatever the heck it is, just do it. And Saturday, like I said, I spent just time with Katie and Alyssa and my sister Sherry. We went to oh God, I don't want to call it a flea market. It's much nicer than a flea market. But what do you call those things? Let's see. They had nice stuff, nice
Craft fair.
craft fair. Yeah, yeah. It was really neat. And I met this young lady there. Oh no, I'm gonna call it what it was. A young girl. She was, and maybe that's synonymous with each other. But this girl was about, I'd say, 10 at the most, and had her own booth there. Maybe a parent or a guardian was somewhere to be seen or around watching her, but they were nowhere that I saw. Certainly not in the booth with her. And she had these. She was making like hair barrettes and some bracelets, things like that. Just and it wasn't like the real cheap stuff, but it wasn't expensive stuff either. But it was just crafty stuff that this young lady had made. And I got to talking to her about it. And, she did her own pricing. She had things set up better than, I'm going to just say it, better than a lot of companies I see that are being ran by adults as far as, her marketing looked good. Her image was good. And that is something we're going to talk about today. And the reason that we're talking about it today was this young lady. She had a very well kept booth, very, very professional looking. Her marketing was professional, and she looked professional. She looked like she should look for doing what she was doing, and that's something that's important too. It's you see people in any industry, but I'm going to just compare her to commercial mowing, if you would. Absolutely, Seth, you're right. Diversification key to success. So, but she was very conscientious about her entire setup and the professionalism of it. And the opposite of that was some guys that I saw mowing on the way to that craft fair. And it was actually a little craft fair. You had to pay a little bit to get in. It was a $5 fee to get in, so it just wasn't, hey, well, I ain't got nothing else to do. Let's do that. Not that $5 is going to keep anybody in or out of a craft fair, but it does kind of separate the crowd just a little bit. And but I saw these guys mowing it Saturday morning, and I'm like, and don't anybody take this. Well, yeah, I do take it the wrong way if it's you. They just looked less than professional. Do you think about how you look? Do you think about your company image? And I guess what it boils down to is two things, really. I mean, two right off the bat is, why don't you care more? Not you specifically, because I know, you do, but why don't some companies care more about the way they look? I mean, this was 9 o'clock in the morning Saturday. So no, they hadn't been working all day. And, they were mowing, they were in cut off shirts. They looked dirty. Just from the street, they looked dirty. Just in going by, they looked dirty. And it's like, don't you care? I mean, it's all about caring a little bit. And I think that's something we need to look at our image a little bit and figure out why some people care, why some people don't care. The only thing we can take care of is ourselves, right? I mean, that's just it. You guys can't control what I do with my business. I can't control what you do with yours. So we're each responsible for our own. But I think the end result or the end goal for each and every one of us is we all want to be more profitable. We all want to make more money. And part of that is the perception. And I mean, I just don't understand why. And, I hear people say all the time, well, my customers don't care. Well, I believe customers do care more than you think. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, I'm not 100% on that, but I do think to a certain extent, even your customers care what you look like. What do you think on that, Daniel?
I think most care. And
They,
I think I don't know. It's like I think they care, but sometimes I think when you have the perception, like uh, the industry has a certain perception, I think it's more. Maybe this is it. It's more of a plus when they care and they look professional, but less of a negative to some people when they don't look that way because that's what they expect.
right.
So it's like you're going above and beyond my expectations, even though their expectations are low. When you go beyond that, it's great, but when you just barely exceed or meet that, it's like, well, that's what I expect.
That's what you expect. And that is a great way to explain it because I think that's right 100% on target. That could be our truth bomb. I think that is a great explanation of that because, you know, what's the thing? Don't expect too much and you won't be disappointed, kind of thing. And I do think that is a really great example of that. That, yeah, people don't expect too much, so they may not complain about it. But the right clientele, and let's look at it first residentially, the right clientele, both residential and commercial, I think, like we said, they do care, but maybe expectations aren't that high. But certainly you could refocus in on a clientele that does care about what you look like, what your trailer looks like, what your truck looks like, and you're not pulling up there looking like a piece of garbage. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but we see it all the time. We see it all the time in all markets. So I think we all need to focus in a little bit more on our image, like this young lady was. Like I said, she wasn't but 10, Daniel. Did I share that story with you?
Yeah.
I thought I did. But she was just really a cool person and very on the ball, very matter of fact. She knew what she was selling, she knew what she wanted to sell it for. She did not negotiate. I was just kind of playing around a little bit with her, you know, and just to see what she would say, And I said, well, what if I get three of them? And she said, well, if you get three of them, we could probably do something. But if you want one or two, they're $12 a piece or something, or but whatever it was. But she stuck to her pricing to get me past what her special was, and then said, well, if you want three or more, how many do you think you may want? So she was very good at that, and it gave me faith again in young entrepreneurship, if you will. And who knows? This young lady may become the next jewelry guru. Can't think of one of them, but what's it? That one that's in all the wood targets and what now? No, but maybe at age 15 she's no longer doing this. Who knows? But she's had some good direction and good startup. Seth says 100% customers care. Whether they say it or not, deep down they do. I want my customers to care. Me too, Seth. 100%. You know, uh, because we do. We get quite a few comments on, about our trucks being clean, and they are. Guys say, well, it's just a work truck. Well, don't look at it like that. It's a work truck, but it's not just a work truck. It's technically a truck you work in, so you can still be clean. It's like I saw my first dirty UPS truck. Because normally those things are always clean. You got to catch one on a really off day that's dirty. But I saw the first one when I was on my trip out west. And if you've ever been out west, you'd understand why that truck was dirty. I mean, a little lot of gravel, a lot of, but I was like, damn, that's the first one I can ever say legitimately was dirty. And they probably started off clean that morning, but just, based on the route, it's a daily effort. But uh, image should be a bigger thing for you. We're gonna wrap it up on image, but you know it should be a bigger thing than it is for most. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and then we're going to take a short break. But I keep a little thing right over on my computer screen on my desktop that says, and the image you reflect is the income you can expect. And that's why we're very image conscious here with not only our trucks and, shirts and things, but, how we answer the phone, responding to people when they call or responding to complaints. And, we're going to talk about that actually here in a second, the complaint side of what we do. But hey, we're way past our first break. Let's go ahead and take a short break. We'll be right back with more Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station. Don't you go anywhere. All righty then. Welcome back to Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio. Jeff Ruby. Yes, indeedy. It's always a nice night out when you go to Jeff Ruby's. They got great food, great service. So check them out when you get here for the expo. And go ahead and make your reservations, actually. And because it's not a huge place, it's a
Yeah, it's
decent.
probably, time to do that.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, if you really think about it, we're only
couple months,
2 months plus a
little bit.
couple
Yeah.
weeks out. So,
Yeah. So go ahead and make your reservations. And when you do, let them know that you heard about them on Turfs Up Radio. So you won't be disappointed when you go down there. John sent us a neat little text in. He says, the cost of cool ain't cheap. And he said, basically all of their trucks look the same: white cab, black bed, green decals. And that's the same way we are, John. I mean, consistency. It's consistency. Spit it out. Consistency in that branding and marketing. That's important. We want somebody to try to remember that. That's part of what you do when you go down the street and you look at a McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or you know whatever it is like that. I mean, their color schemes are the same. And I had a hard time getting used to McDonald's new color scheme actually when they start rebranding.
had you hooked for
But
after 45 years of the same thing.
yeah, you're used to seeing the same thing. But to John's point, it is a little. It does cost you a little bit of money to brand everything the same way and have. But on the other side of it, um, I think it's very important that you do that. you know, and can you get by with different trucks, different colors, and that whole thing? Absolutely so. So we're not going to have that debate. But again, it goes back to who do you want to be? What image do you want out there? And the subliminal message that's sent along with things a lot of times. Um, from a marketing standpoint, where people see you, but they see you, but they don't see you. But it's the repetition of seeing you that when they do see it, it's in their mind, even though if they're not recognizing it, that they are. So that's a much deeper concept than what we're going to talk about today, but certainly a good one, to talk about. And that goes to John's point about the cost of cool ain't cheap. And it is. I mean, that's right. It takes a little bit of money, and the least we can do is have uniformity within our trucks and or our employees and what they're doing. Um, Doug says they're converting their fleet over to red. I had a really good friend of mine that had all red trucks in his fleet. Tom Simpson had a company here called B&S and landscaping. And Tom was a really great guy, man. He passed away several years ago, but he had a really great company and was a really great guy to hang out with and call a friend. But Yeah, their trucks were all red, Doug. So heck yeah, keep it simple, stupid, right? That old KISS principle. But that it is that simple. Just keep it simple, stay with it, and stick with it, and build that brand and build that image, so people remember it. And speaking of which, Daniel, I got something I wanted to talk to you a little bit about here. And this has got nothing to do with business, you all. So
Mhm.
it's like pump station extended here for a second. But what's your opinion? And actually, what made me think about it when you were talking today about meal prepping and um, in the morning have some type of protein drink at least and a banana or you know your reference to that, which actually got me thinking about it. And by the way, that's exactly what I had today
There
was
you
a
go.
banana and a core power. But what do you think about intermittent fasting? And how does somebody in our industry should they do it in your opinion to try to pull it off, or would fasting be hard for the amount of labor that's required for landscaping and mowing and when you're or construction or just
I
being
think
out?
it's for one, I think is it a good thing or a bad thing? I think it can be a good thing. It can also be a bad thing. But I don't it's not that I don't recommend it. I just don't recommend it for beginners. Like if you're just getting into trying to lose weight, trying to be healthy, whatever, I don't recommend it because I think it's too inconsistent for one, meaning it's you're there's just a lot of things that make fasting it seems like oh I'm going to fast because it's easier, but it's really not easier because you also want
How long do you have to go to be considered fasting?
technically I don't know, but I have a feeling it has to do with your blood sugar. So
Okay.
your fasting blood sugar is at a certain point, right? Like if you were to take your a test, like with one of those
Yeah.
things you can prick your finger with and do the find your number, that number that is your fasting number, that's fasting. So whenever that number is at that, that's when you would be fasting. So when you no longer have any fuel in your body from like a meal that you ate X amount of minutes ago or hours
All right.
ago. So
So that's why they tell you not to eat, like the
yeah, before you do like a doctor's visit
before
for
you do
some
your doctor's
things.
visit.
Yeah. So that's probably like the level of when you are considered fasting is when you have no longer have any like sugar, if you want to call it that, or fuel running through from like a meal you just had. But probably for most people, it's going to be at a minimum of maybe like a 10 hours, 8 hours,
All right.
maybe. Kind of just depends. Maybe like 8 hours ish. But um, so if you think about like when we sleep, we call it breakfast, right? Break your fast, and how much time are we supposed to sleep? 8 hours. So maybe like 8 hours. I don't know. How long should you fast? That's going to depend on kind of your level of comfort. I don't
What is considered fasting? What can a
anything that
person have?
anything that doesn't elevate your blood sugar. So you can have anything without calories. And some people that have really like done well with their health and they have like really dialed in on their body and their blood sugar, you can actually some people can have a little bit of something that won't actually impact their blood sugar to the level that technically gets them off of a fast. Now that might be very minimal, like a gram of fat or something that you might have in like a coffee creamer, let's say, or something like that. But you can't eat or drink anything that raises your blood sugar. So basically, for most people, just think anything that has calories, avoid it during a fast.
All
So
right.
you can have like tea, coffee, obviously water, but anything that you would eat is going to have calories in it. So nothing to eat.
So somebody that in our industry or working where they're out
More
working,
physical.
yeah, more physical labor job, would they be better off eating in the morning before they start and then fast the rest of the day?
You could. That could be a way to get
Because you
around
would
it.
think they would need energy.
Yeah, you would probably benefit from a meal to start the day, so then you have energy and stuff like that. Um, that would probably be the best bet compared to eating at night and then waiting and to eat again at the next night kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
I
Because
mean,
I
you could make
swear,
it work. You could do it.
yeah.
Your body would get used to it. It would be fine over time, but
Is there any truth to eating at night is worse than,
no.
okay.
Other than if you're now, it could be the fact that like, okay, I haven't eaten all day and I know I need to eat for, and this is another thing. If you're fasting, that means you still need to eat a certain amount of calories. You still need to eat a certain amount of protein. You still need to get your vitamins and minerals in that your body needs. So you need to
All right.
eat good food. It's not like, oh, well, I fasted all day, so now I have, 1,500 calories, 1,800, 2,000 calories, whatever that number is for you, that I can just go and eat anything and everything I want, because that's going to lead to deficiencies and potentially overeating even, or just not getting quality food in. So that's really a big reason why I don't like fasting, is because people need to build habits through consistently eating good food first, in my opinion.
All right.
And then when you do that, then okay, this is good food. Because another thing, when you're fasting, you have such a long time between meals that you're probably so hungry that then you are craving more of the junk food and the desserts and the, you know, hamburgers and the all that kind of stuff. Whereas if you're eating a couple of times at least per day, then it's like okay, I know I'm not starving. I'm not going to overload my plate. I'm not going to eat a million miles per hour and overeat food and then go get dessert after and all these things, because it's like you don't reach that level of crazy hunger that you might meet during fasting.
I got you.
So I'm not a fan of fasting for the average Joe. I'm really not. I think it's become this trend and this thing that people have heard, oh, it's healthy and it's helped me lose weight, blah blah blah. So people are like, oh, well, that sounds easy because I don't have to really think about it. You know, I don't have to think about what I eat for each meal. I just know that I'm saving up all my calories and I can eat whatever for one meal because I have them all saved up for the end of the day.
This Fred sent the thing in here. He says he does a fast at least once per year for about 3 months. So I guess about a quarter of the year. He says he does what's called an 18-6 fast. He has a 6 hour window
Okay.
that he can eat in, and he generally does 12 to 6 p.m. with a major calorie reduction. A lot of calorie counting, but you must be disciplined to fast.
Yeah,
So
definitely it does take a little discipline to fast. So, yeah, I mean, if it's something that you're doing with intent, like, okay, I know I need to hit these calories, I know I need to hit this protein, I know I need to make sure I'm eating quality food. Those are all things that you need to also think about on a fasting
what's
diet.
the idea
Same way.
behind fasting? I mean, is it to lose weight, or is it
It could
what?
be.
What?
Yeah, there's different
Why do
benefits
so many people talk
supposedly.
about fasting?
Like I said, I think it's become a bigger topic because, like I said, people think, oh, well, fasting is easy because I don't have to think about it. I can just save up all my calories for my last meal and just eat whatever I want because I haven't had any breakfast or lunch today. So that's one reason I think it's become a popular thing, is because it's seen as easy. Another thing is, yes, if you don't eat, and then you can also be um, disciplined with your time when you do eat, then you will lose weight, because it's just like any other diet, let's call it. Eating less calories than you need is going to lead to losing weight. It doesn't matter if you eat 11 times per day or one time per day. It doesn't really matter. Now, there are other benefits to fasting that most people don't have any idea really what they are, how they work, and I don't really have a great idea. I've talked to a few people about it, but there's this thing called um, autophagy, and that's a big thing right now with fasting. And this is like where your body is like cleaning itself in a sense. Like it's getting rid of like a lot of waste products kind of like within the body, maybe like a lot of cells that could potentially, and this is more theoretical, I think, than like strictly proven right now. But like it may help reduce cancer risk, because during this autophagy stage, your body is like getting rid of a lot of excess and waste and cells that may not be
Mm.
functioning properly, and So it's like, well, how can that potentially cut down on cancer risk or things that can go wrong within the body because you're getting rid of a lot of it. So, but that's usually, I think, trying to think about it, fast that lasts at least, I want to say maybe at least 24 hours or maybe even 36 hours. So those are longer fasts.
God, that'd be a long time.
And there are people that fast for, like once a week they'll do a 24-hour fast, or once a week they'll do it's 36 hours, or once per month they'll do 72 hours, or there's different ways people.
Again, do you think from an energy standpoint for guys in our industry,
I think it is realistic.
is it
It's
realistic?
it's not necessarily good or bad, but can it be done? Yes, it can be done. Will it take suffering through maybe a little bit of like getting used to period, if you want to call it that? Yeah, as well, because I mean, we have a such a surplus of food now that like even just from the very beginning of when we were born and on, we've had constant food supply. Most people have had enough food in their pantry. Just because you say I don't want that doesn't mean you couldn't eat it, and doesn't mean you didn't go get something else you wanted.
Right.
So, um, we've had this constant food supply that has made us like 3 meals regular forever.
Yeah.
So it would take some time to get unused to that and get used to fasting and that kind of thing. But
Because I
you
guess
can
back
do
in
it.
the day, I mean, you were just hunting and gathering food.
Yeah.
So you probably did
You
have
you
some
burned
fat.
a lot of calories even getting your calories. That was
Yeah.
why people weren't overweight, because you had to burn 500 calories to chase down this animal and wrangle it and blah 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 to get 1,000 calories worth of food that day.
Yeah.
So yeah, you might have had 1,000 calories, but you ate 500, and then another 700 calories came from the nuts and seeds and berries that were collected that
Yeah.
day. So it's a completely different time, but our bodies can adapt to a lot of different kind of energy.
Well, cool. I appreciate
Things.
your input on that because actually I was thinking about it, maybe,
I
you know,
wouldn't I wouldn't recommend it, and I wouldn't do it for you.
really.
Not at all,
Okay.
because I don't think that there's enough. Um, Fasting doesn't, for most people, like I said, it just doesn't allow enough seriousness to be taken around the food that you are in eating, and seriousness around food to be eaten.
All right. So we'll throw that one out the window, I
Yeah, I would
guess.
go with eating 3 times per day, maybe a fourth for a protein snack, and if you're consistent with that, you're gonna see results.
Hmm. All right. Well, good deal. Well, hey, let's take a short break and we'll be right back with more Profit Time. All righty then. Welcome back. Welcome back to Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio. I appreciate that. Corey said, Daniel, he did a 72-hour fast last month, and he said the first 24 was the hardest part. So
Yeah.
just, what's that? Your body, does your body finally tell you, okay, you're not hungry because
Well,
it's not going to work, or
it's not that
it doesn't think it's going
necessarily.
to push into eating, or what?
It's some of that maybe, but there's also a different kind of what's called, I think, ketones within the body. So when your body goes into ketosis, I hope I'm getting this right, you're using those for energy.
Okay.
So um, it's like, okay, your body realizes, kind of like you said, I'm not going to get fed like I typically am. So let's go to our body's reserves.
Okay.
So could be what's going on there with the first 24 being the hardest.
Well, good deal. Well, good deal. Well, I appreciate your input on that because, like I said, I was thinking about it, and I thought, could somebody, well, never mind. We won't go any further today with that. But all right, it just amazed me how many people uh, talk about fasting, though, and I'm like, I
The
just can't
amount,
imagine our industry. Too many people doing it, with the calorie burn that they have going on for guys that are in the field. I'm talking about,
yeah. Well,
you know.
it's too, like, you have to think about the amount of calories that we also have within our body. But there's calories within our body. So, no, we don't want to burn all of our calories within our body. So we need to eat some
All right,
points. That's where the 1 time per day comes in. But if we can burn off the calories throughout the day that are, we're trying to, because weight is just excess calories.
All right.
We burn the weight or burn the calories, we lose the weight. But there's also ways you can do that by eating numerous times per day. So that's what I would recommend for anyone and everyone. If you're working with a doctor who is like, hey, let's do this fasting, but we're going to look at your blood work, we're going to come in here every month, and these things are very, very down to a science, then sure, I'd say fasting is okay. But not just the average person who knows nothing about nutrition, because that's just like way, way beyond.
All right, that's fair enough. It's like somebody trying to take care of their own lawn,
Yeah,
just,
sure, you can mow your grass and do
know,
things like that, but when you
buying
start,
chemicals and
yeah,
applying.
buying chemicals or trying to put a wall up, or now you're getting into
You need to know a little something.
professionals. Yeah.
I got you.
So
All right. So, anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about a phone call we had today. And, you guys are like us. I'm sure you get, some odd phone calls, but we had one this morning that was pretty crazy. It was a guy actually calling, and it was a missed dial, but he was calling and said, hey, I was reaching out to you guys. I need to get somebody to engrave a headstone for my aunt who passed away in May. And he said, I got your number from, and he gave a funeral home here local. And Kyle's like, I think you've got the wrong place. We can do landscaping services. And it is weird. He said, that might be the weirdest missed call we've had. And I would have to agree with that. We get a lot of calls. It's kind of funny. We get not a lot, but we get our fair share of faxes from a pediatrician that are going to a pediatrician's office whose fax number is very close to ours. And then we just call them and tell them, hey, you need to reach out to this person. They're trying to, fax you. We do that because, somebody's medical stuff's serious, man. I mean, especially, well, anybody's is, but, with pediatricians and they're trying to get things and we get it and we're like, oh, God, we just shred it and tell them, hey, man, you need to reach out to that person. They're trying to fax it to the wrong number. But that one today about getting a headstone engraved was different, to say the least. I'm glad Kyle got it and I didn't get it, or you picked up on it. Be like, it almost be like you think somebody's joking, but most of the time they're not. It's just a misstyle in the situation. But also, it's summertime and things are slowing down and kids are going back to school. And I was curious, just something to think about for our next show for you guys was, do you see a traditional summer slowdown within your business, regardless of the market you're in? Because I know we do. I mean, we do every year. It's consistent, and it's generally August. Can start as early as mid-July, but normally it's about a 6-week time frame. And I think we touched on this the other day a little bit, but I just wanted to get you guys thinking about it a little bit. Do you have a traditional slower time of the year? And what do you attribute the slow time to? Is it, family vacations, people that are taking, family vacations during the summer, and or they're buying school supplies or new clothes or tennis shoes? And do you see any of that slowdown in your residential market? Now, commercially, I'm not so sure it makes a difference, but residentially, we certainly see a change in leads that are generated mid-July through at least mid-August. You know, um, just that's the reality of it. Corey said, "I get the most people wanting to get hired in the summer when the business is slowing down." Yeah, and I think some of that could lead to some of the slowdown of some of the industry jobs, Corey. Quite honestly, where they're wanting to switch to get additional hours. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about on Wednesday. And then also I want to talk a little bit on Wednesday about what it's like in your market this year as far as we're going to talk more about aeration and seeding and what leads to aeration and seeding in your market. So with that being said, I appreciate your all's input as always, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Big shout out to everybody that was in the Profit Circle with us last week on our webinar, and where we talked about service agreements. And hopefully, you guys have had a little bit of time to work on that and adjust that a little bit, because every service that you offer comes along with different service that you provide, and maybe different procedures involved in how you're going to do it, why you're going to do it, how you expect to get paid, and what happens if you don't get paid. So yeah, we had a good webinar on that and good participation on that. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate each and every one of you here on Turfs Up Radio listening to us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Daniel, thanks for hopping on again, my friend, and talking about fasting a little bit, because I didn't want to butcher that up at all. But it's funny, just yesterday we had people talking about fasting, and I thought, I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. Just get your opinion on it. So, but anyways, hey, you guys have a great day. Thanks again for tuning in to Turfs Up Radio. Stay tuned for King Darren here on Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station. And remember, profit is not a dirty word.